the resurrection versus alternative theories. Since Jesus' resurrection some 2,000 years ago, opponents of the Christian faith have postulated alternative theories to Jesus rising from the dead. This historical event has likely been more hotly debated than any other in a quest to know what happened that early Sunday morning in first century Judea. You may be unconvinced, and I get that. I mean, after all, this is an enormous fish story, enough to gag on. It is an event shrouded in mystery and seems so hard to decipher fact from fable for something that happened so long ago. If you are someone on the fence, or someone who wants to build their faith, or someone who is curious about the debate, this two-part mini-series will hopefully slake that thirst. In the minutes following this introduction, I want to compare the objections of substitute theories with the resurrection account itself. Then I will assess the reasoning against the recorded historical narratives and reveal why these theories do not pass muster. Had they demonstrated flaws in the resurrection story, they would have smothered Christianity's spread like stamping out a cigarette butt. Instead, their claims remained unconvincing, and the faith flames spread like a conflagration through a gasoline-drenched hayfield in July. But you be the judge as we dive into this subject. What has been fascinating to watch is that the theories have actually strengthened the resurrection narrative. And how did they do this, you ask? Well, imagine two boxers entering into the ring. One is a heavyweight title winner, and the other is a powerful rival. This challenger has enormous media support, social media platforms, major news coverage, sports betting odds, and the like favor the challenger. He is a younger, more agile, he's more hungry, and at the top of his game. The champion's time has come and gone. This will likely be a quick match. Then the bell rings. The clash of these boxing titans does not, disappoint? Actually, it was very disappointing. There was no match. With one stiff uppercut, the challenger was out for the count. So much for all the hype. Skeptics have advanced several challenger theories only to find that their mental footwork was flat. Their offensive jabs missed their mark, and their logical frame could not withstand the pulverizing body blows delivered by the hard-hitting facts of the resurrected champion. The resurrection story is an evidential monolith and remains the reigning champion. Let's see how that's true. The remainder of this video is dedicated to the would-be usurpers of the resurrection account. I will explain each theory and then reveal their fatal flaws that landed them on the mat for the 10 count. There are 6 of them I will be covering, 3 in this video, in the video to come. So, first is the wrong tomb theory. This view proposes that Jesus, like many criminals of the day, were tossed into an open pit and were not permitted burial. Therefore, no one would know where they were buried. Sounds good, right? Well, to believe this is to sidestep the 4 gospel accounts altogether and rely solely on custom without a shred of literary evidence that states this is what happened to Jesus. If Christians did this, the critics would pounce all over them. So another problem is that we know the tomb belonged to a respected member of the Jewish council named Joseph of Arimathea. Mary Magdalene and 2 other women helped prepare his body for burial. The guards had the unsavory task of guarding the tomb. It is a very elastic stretch of reason to believe that the guards, part of the Roman Empire, the most powerful military in the entire world at that time, guarded the wrong tomb. Everyone knew which tomb it was. Besides, the Roman authorities would be all too happy to remedy that little oversight by producing Jesus' actual body and parading it down the streets of Jerusalem. The Christian faith would have instantly fizzled like a torch tossed into a pond. But they had no body, and kaplow, that theory is out cold. Another theory is one of two that attacks what people saw after the resurrection. You're likely aware that after the resurrection, Jesus appeared to over 500 people during a 40-day span of time. Eyewitness accounts are, of course, the most powerful way to substantiate any historical claim. This is called the impersonation theory. Proponents of this view assert that Jesus' disciples saw something that looked like Jesus, but it was actually an imposter. Well, let's think about that, shall we? Just for a moment. First of all, this person talked like Jesus, walked like Jesus, performed miracles like Jesus, and was wounded like Jesus. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's not a goose. Remember that the disciples were already reluctant to believe such a tall tale that Jesus would rise from the dead. It would take hard evidence to win over the skeptics in the crowd, like the disciple Thomas. And yet in John chapter 20, verse 28, Thomas is won over having examined Jesus' wounds, and he declares, "My Lord and my God." The gospel narrative didn't even break a sweat on that opponent. The next theory is called the swoon theory. Now, this is a daisy. This theory insinuates that Jesus didn't actually die. Being placed in the cool air of the tomb, he revived and revealed himself to the disciples as their triumphant Lord. Talk about flimsy. This enfeebled adversary can barely stand on his own two legs without even a fight. Let's examine this for a hot second. First, Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, had Jesus savagely flogged at the Antonia fortress. Many prisoners didn't even survive this. After this, Jesus had his feet and hands pierced. Then a Roman soldier gored his side with a spear. Then he somehow, after 3 days without food, water, and medical attention, freed himself from his 75 pounds of burial wrapping, rolled back a stone that required several strong men to move, overpowered the Roman guard, and appeared to his disciples as their exalted victor over death. Really? Like a dazed and tottering fighter whose energy is spent, the resurrection knocks it flat on the mat with a simple blow. We just covered 3 alternative theories to the resurrection and evaluated their weightiness. I think you can see that most of these conclusions are half-baked and lack the scholarly substance to lend much credence to their hypotheses. In part 2 of this video, we will unpack the remaining 3 theories and do the same with them. I hope to see you there.